Have you ever stopped to think about why, in the first seconds after waking up, your hand seems to have a life of its own and reaches for the cell phone on the bedside table, even before you open your eyes completely? Or why you go into Instagram to see only one message, and when you realize it, 40 minutes have passed, and you're watching a video of a person organizing a refrigerator on the other side of the world. If you feel that your attention no longer belongs to you, you're not alone. What is happening inside your head is a sophisticated chemical war, where the prize is the most valuable substance of the 21st century, your dopamine. Today, we are going to unveil the 10 secret mechanisms that big technology companies and the modern world use to kidnap your biology. Get ready, because after understanding how your reward system works, you will never look at a notification in the same way again. To understand addiction, we first need to clear dopamine's name. For a long time, it was called the pleasure molecule. But modern neuroscience tells us that this is a gross mistake. Dopamine is not about the pleasure that you feel when you eat a chocolate. It is about the burning desire that makes you get up from the couch, go to the kitchen, and open the cabinet to get that chocolate. It is the neurotransmitter of seeking, motivation, and anticipation. It is the promise of happiness, not happiness itself. And it is exactly in that promise that addiction installs itself. 1. The broken balance. Tonic versus phasic dopamine. Imagine that your brain has a constant level of dopamine, like the water level in a calm pool. This is what we call tonic dopamine. It is this basal level that determines your general mood, your energy, and your will to live. When something good happens, such as receiving a compliment or eating something tasty, a quick peak occurs called phasic dopamine. The pool gains a wave. The problem of the modern world is that we are creating phasic tsunamis all the time. Every 10-second video, every notification is a phasic peak. The brain, trying to prevent the pool from overflowing, begins to drain the basal water. The result? Your tonic level drops. That is why, the more intense stimuli you consume, the more depressed and without energy you feel in everyday life. You are trading your constant peace for momentary peaks of euphoria that leave an emptiness right afterward. 2. The variable reward trap. If I gave you 10 raise every time you pressed a button, you would soon get tired. But if I told you that, by pressing the button, you might win 10 raise, nothing, or 1,000 raise, you would not stop pressing. This is what psychology calls variable reward. The same principle that makes slot machines so addictive. Social networks are pocket casinos. The infinite scroll is the slot machine lever. You scroll the screen and do not know what will come. It may be an unfunny meme, bad news, or something that makes you laugh a lot. This uncertainty generates dopamine peaks much bigger than a guaranteed reward. Your brain becomes addicted to the possibility that something incredible may be just 1 centimeter away from your thumb. 3. The dopamine valley, the opponent process. Nature loves balance. In neuroscience, we call this homeostasis. Every time you have an artificially high pleasure peak, your brain, to compensate, creates a proportionality deep valley of pain. It is like a swing. If you push it to the side of pleasure with a lot of force, it will come back to the side of pain with the same intensity. That is why, right after finishing a marathon of an incredible series or spending hours playing, you feel that strange emptiness, an irritability, or a sudden sadness. It is not only missing the content, it is your brain lowering your dopamine levels below normal to try to recalibrate the system. The problem is that most of us, to escape this valley, seek another immediate stimulus, creating a cycle of dependence that never allows the brain to heal. 4. Downregulation, when the brain burns the fuses. If you enter a room with a very strong smell, after a few minutes you will no longer feel the smell. Your olfactory receptors got used to it. The same happens with dopamine. When you bombard your brain with supernormal stimuli, things that do not exist in nature, such as pornography, ultra-realistic games, or infinite social networks, your brain understands that this is dangerous. To protect itself, it begins to hide or destroy dopamine receptors. It is the downregulation process. Now, you need increasingly bigger doses of stimulus just to feel normal. This is where anhedonia is born, the inability to feel pleasure in simple things. A sunset, a calm conversation, or reading a book lose their grace because your brain turned down the volume of everything so as not to be destroyed by the excess of digital noise. 5. The brain rot phenomenon and the end of attention. Have you ever felt that your memory is getting worse? Or that you can no longer focus on a video longer than 3 minutes? This has a name. It is the impact of extremely short-duration content on our prefrontal cortex. When we consume 15-second videos in sequence, we are training our brain to expect an immediate reward with no effort at all. The prefrontal cortex, responsible for focus and decision-making, begins to weaken. We are atrophying our ability to think deeply. This phenomenon, nicknamed on the internet as brain rot, is actually a biological reconfiguration. We are trading our long-term intelligence for an instant gratification that leaves us mentally exhausted and incapable of carrying out tasks that require continuous effort. This process of degradation of attention does not happen overnight. It is a slow erosion. Every time you interrupt an important task to check an irrelevant notification, you pay what scientists call the context switching cost. Your brain takes, on average, 23 minutes to recover total focus after a single distraction. Now multiply that by the dozens of times you look at your cell phone per day. The result is a life lived in a state of permanent mental fog, where nothing is completed with excellence and everything seems superficial. Brain rot is the price we pay for allowing artificial intelligence algorithms to decide what deserves our attention every second. We are becoming passive spectators of our own existence, consuming entertainment pills that feed us but never nourish us. 6. Cheap dopamine versus expensive dopamine. There is a fundamental difference between the dopamine you gain by finishing a 5-kilometer run and the dopamine you gain by eating a fast food hamburger. The first is what we call expensive dopamine. It requires effort, discipline, and time. Your brain understands the value of that achievement, and the reward is sustainable. Cheap dopamine, on the other hand, is the one that comes without effort. One click, one bite, one impulsive purchase. The problem is that the brain is lazy by nature and will always seek the path of least resistance. By surrounding ourselves with cheap dopamine, we lose the ability to fight for difficult goals. If you can have a dose of euphoria in seconds on TikTok, why would you make an effort for months to learn to play an instrument or study for an exam? Cheap dopamine is the greatest thief of dreams of our generation. 7. The kidnapping of sleep and the circadian cycle. The relationship between dopamine and sleep is one of the most critical points for our mental health. Dopamine is a wakefulness signaler. It tells your brain that it is time to be alert. When you stay on the cell phone until late, the blue light from screens inhibits the production of melatonin, the sleep hormone. But it is not only the light. The content you consume generates dopamine peaks that keep your brain in a state of hunting. You enter a state of constant alert, preventing the brain from entering the deep phases of sleep, where toxin cleaning and memory consolidation occur. The result is a vicious cycle. You sleep badly, wake up with low tonic dopamine, feeling like garbage, and immediately seek the cell phone to have a phasic dopamine peak and be able to function. You're using the cell phone as a pacemaker for a brain that is exhausted. 8. FOMO, the fear of being left out as a biological trigger. Fear of missing out, or the fear of being left out, is not only a social feeling, it is an ancestral survival mechanism. For our ancestors, being excluded from the group meant certain death. Because of that, our brain evolved to constantly monitor what others are doing. Social networks exploit this biological fear. Every notification of someone posted a photo or there's a new trend triggers dopamine linked to social anxiety. You feel a compulsive need to check what is happening to guarantee that you are still part of the tribe. This state of hypervigilance drains your mental energy and keeps you a slave to a life that you're not even living, only observing through a screen. 9. The mimicry of ADHD, the acquired disorder. Many people are going to medical offices believing that they developed ADHD in adult life. Although the disorder is real and genetic, we are seeing an explosion of ADHD symptoms caused purely by the digital lifestyle. When you switch between 10 tabs in the browser, listen to podcasts at 2x speed while answering messages and looking at the feed, you are fragmenting your attention. The brain becomes incapable of maintaining focus on a single thing for more than a few seconds. We are creating a state of acquired attention deficit. The good news is that, unlike genetic ADHD, this state can be reversed if you stop training your brain to be distracted. It is necessary to relearn the art of boredom. Boredom is the space where creativity and deep reflection are born, but we kill it with the first sign of a notification. 10. Neuroplasticity, the path to freedom. After hearing all of this, you may be feeling hopeless. But here is the most incredible fact about your brain. It is neuroplastic. It has an infinite capacity to remodel itself. The famous dopamine detox is not a punishment. It is a maintenance period. When you move away from supernormal stimuli for a while, whether for a day, a week, or a month, your dopamine receptors begin to come back out. The volume of the radio returns to normal. Suddenly, an apple becomes sweet again, a book becomes interesting again, and silence stops being desperate. You recover your autonomy. Freedom is not being able to do everything that you want, but having the control not to do that which destroys you. Recovering sensitivity to dopamine requires courage to face the initial discomfort. In the first hours or days of a detox, you will feel a physical restlessness, almost like a mental itch. It is your brain screaming for the easy stimulus to which it was conditioned. But if you persist, something magical happens. Mental clarity returns. You begin to notice details in the world around you that were previously invisible. Your ability to read a book for 1 hour straight without interruptions becomes a reality again. Neuroplasticity is the proof that we are not fixed biological machines. We are dynamic systems that can be reprogrammed for excellence or for mediocrity, depending on the inputs that we allow. Remember, the goal is not perfection, but progress. Start small. Maybe the first hour of your day can be free of screens. Maybe your dinner can be a moment of real connection with whoever is by your side, without digital interruptions. Every small victory counts for the reconstruction of your reward system. You have the power to decide whether you want to be a chemical slave of algorithms or the master of your own biology. The journey is long, but the reward, the true dopamine, the one that comes from achievement and purpose, is worth every second of effort. Conclusion and final reflection. We have reached the end of this journey through the depths of your reward system. Dopamine addiction is the invisible challenge of our era. It is not about hating technology or going back to caves, but about understanding that we are biological beings living in a digital world designed to exploit our weaknesses. Every time you choose to put the cell phone aside and focus on the present moment, you are winning a battle in the war for your mind. The question that I leave for you to reflect on today is the following. If you stopped using social networks for 48 hours starting now, what would you feel that you would be losing, and what do you think you would gain in return? Stop for a second and think about it. If this video helped you understand better what happens inside your head, leave your like. This time, a conscious like and not an automatic one. Subscribe to the channel so that we can continue exploring the mysteries of human behavior and science. And do not forget to leave your comment answering the question that I asked. I really want to know how your relationship with dopamine is nowadays. Let us exchange experiences and help each other regain control. A big hug, and see you in the next video.